Welcome back, everyone, to another episode in the Spyderco series. Today, I have for you the Spyderco Slysz Bowie, or Slysz Bowie. This is long overdue. This is one of my favorite Spydercos in my collection, and this is actually the KnifeJoy exclusive version. The original version has, in the knife community, oftentimes been referred to as the GOAT, greatest of all time. And that one has a it's a stone-washed titanium with a stone-washed blade using CTS XHP for the steel. The KnifeJoy exclusive came out with, as you can see, blue anodized titanium with a satin blade. Yeah, this is actually the first batch. So this was released quite many years ago, but I'll actually have the more recent batch as a comparison, and I will drop that in just a little bit. Let's take a look at the measurements. So overall, we're looking at about 7 3/4 of an inch, slightly less, maybe 7 5/8 of an inch. The cutting edge is coming very close to 3 1/4 inches, and the handle we're looking at about 4 1/8 of an inch. The width at what looks to be the widest part is coming in about 1 3/8 of an inch. Thickness, not including the pocket clip, is probably 1/4 of an inch, maybe 3/8 of an inch. Can't really tell with this metal part. I should get a different measuring tape. But the widest part, including the tip, pocket clip, sorry, is coming in about 5/8 of an inch. Oh, sorry. Yeah, 5/8 of an inch. This is an aftermarket pocket clip, by the way. Whew. If you're wondering, that is Lefroy tenure in my cup right there. Let's see. From the weight, we're looking at 4.25 ounces, just slightly over 4 1/4 ounces. And let's take a look at some comparisons. So again, this is a collaboration designed by Marcin Slysz. Another one of his designs is the Spyderco SpydieChef. Very comparable in terms of overall length. Cutting edge seems to be a little bit longer on the SpydieChef. Both titanium. Both uses the wire clip, which makes it a deep carry. But as you can see, I've actually replaced the clip on both of these knives. This being the Lynch Northwest deep carry pocket clip. It's titanium, and this one is a Rips Garage pocket clip, titanium. So as I mentioned earlier in the video, that is the second run KnifeJoy exclusive. There are some differences though. So for one, the most noticeable difference is the color of the titanium. So the anodization on the first run to my left is more subtle, almost like a matte blue. And as you can see, I've already gotten some snail trails all over it. I enjoy it though. I personally like a knife that has a worn look to it. The second batch, right here to my right, is a little brighter in the blue. It's interesting too, because the second batch has, I don't know if it's picking up like prints from your hand, but it has kind of a gray, bronzish, stardust tint to it. It might be difficult to capture on the camera, but I don't know if you can see that. Another noticeable difference is, as you can see here, this titanium frame lock does not have a lock bar insert, nor over travel stop. So you could put, yeah, you could push it quite far. This has good stiffness though. They did a good job on the frame lock. So once you get past to where this part of the scale, it doesn't really go over. So I don't think that's really an issue with this model. However, with the second batch, as you can see, there is a lock bar insert that also acts like an over travel stop. And you can see the screw right there. So when you're disengaging, it will clip. You can hear that sound right there. So that's the over travel stop contacting the scale. Again, this one does not have it, so you're not hearing any clicks. But not really a non-issue in my opinion. So yeah, those are the main differences between the first run and the second run. The second batch came out about 5-6 months ago, I would say. So I think it was early this year in 2024, they dropped the second batch. As you can see, I haven't even, this is as like new as possible. I haven't really carried it or done anything. I thought, especially with the over travel stop and lock bar insert, I wanted to keep this version over the first generation. However, I prefer the finish on the first batch right here. So I decided I'm just going to keep this one. Plus, it's already been worn and used, whereas, you know, I can keep this one new. Anyways, let's jump in more about the knife. So back to the first batch, KnifeJoy exclusive, Slysz Bowie. We got the satin blade right here. And it is a full flat grind. It does have a rounded crowned spine, which is nice. It's got jimping on the blade. Great traction. I've always commemorated Spyderco for how well they do their jimping. It's effective, not overly aggressive, it just works. You've got the Spyderco insignia on the presentation side of the blade. And where it's made, which is Taichung, Taiwan. And the Machine Slysz Bowie insignia right there. This doesn't really remind me of a Bowie blade shape, but that's the name of the knife, so the name of the model. Let's talk about the handle. Again, this one is anodized in blue. The original is a dark stonewash titanium. I've never held that one. I handled it in person, so I don't want to make too many assumptions about it, only from pictures I've seen online. It's got a back spacer. I believe this is G10, but there's also jimping right here. And right here is reversible in terms of carry. So they do have the pocket clip screw on the presentation side as well, or the non-lock side. Hardware is kind of a matte titanium color. Maybe it's just raw titanium, but looks nice. It's a good finish match. This is a frame lock. And, you know, one of the things about lock bar inserts, at least from what I've read, one of the huge benefits of it is that once the steel itself is hardened to where it's harder than the blade steel, so it's less likely to wear out the insert from over long durations of use of lockup, whereas titanium is a softer metal as opposed to the blade steel. So after many lockups, many years, depending on how much use you're actually using your knife, but it will wear out the titanium, so slowly the lockup becomes later. So as you can see, this is about 40% lockup. When I say 40%, what I mean is 40% of the blade tang is contacting the lock bar. and probably not even the full part of that is contacting it. But again, as it wears out, it's gonna slide over more into the other side of the handle. So I think it will take a very long time for that to actually happen. I don't really have any experience of where I have any knives that have late lockups because I've had it for so long and from multiple lockups, but don't see that as an issue. Well, actually, it could be an issue, but I just haven't experienced it. Again, I have a Lynch Northwest deep carry pocket clip. So let's go ahead and talk about the pocket clip. I really like its pocket clips. They're comfortable. They have great retention. It feels like it's stiff. Like I can feel the tension as I'm trying to show this tension right here. And let's take a shot of that in the pocket. Yeah, these are great. Love these clips. And not too stiff, so it does pop up easily, but it's unlikely for it to fall out unless you're doing some pretty intense activity. There's still plenty of room inside, so it doesn't take up too much real estate. Let's talk about availability and price point. This particular one is only available on the secondary market. They sold out probably within a couple hours or less when it was released. Again, this is the first batch. Price for this was $3.99. It was under $400, but very close to $400. From KnifeJoy, as this was their exclusive. I don't know if I mentioned the blade steel. So this is M390, the very original CTS X HP. I wonder if the Scotch is kicking in. Yeah, so it's not really available unless you're looking for it on the secondary market. However, after the second batch was released, this batch is a little more common. It's not available off KnifeJoy's website anymore, but they, again, on the secondary market, I've seen these pop up. There might even be a few right now in blade forums, but a little more common to get this batch rather than the first batch. What are my final thoughts? I really like this. To be, when they called, this has been referred to as the GOAT. I think the original one is very much more the GOAT. I think the original one at different points of its product life cycle was it's around maybe $280, $300, possibly even less. If you remember more about how much the original one cost, please feel free to drop a comment. But those are reselling even in a used condition for upwards of $500. So these are rare. I get a feeling though, if KnifeJoy was able to get 2 exclusives out of this with Spyderco, there's bound to be another exclusive out for this if there's enough demand. If not, a third batch from KnifeJoy. But I really like it. It's got great ergos. It fits in the hand really well. Even with the wire clip, possibly right there presents the tiniest hot spot, but not enough for it to be a deal breaker. But the Lynch Northwest aftermarket clip, this one I think feels a little nicer in hand. I've used this for, the easy stuff, food prep, slicing some apples, some fruit. I haven't used this to break down any boxes yet, but not that I wouldn't. I just, I haven't had an opportunity. But this is a great option if you can get your hand on it. The second batch right now, they released for $450. So you know, due to the lock bar insert, which for me was the biggest difference outside of the color of the anodization. The second batch came out for $450, but I've seen them for $450 to $480 on the secondary market, so definitely attainable. For the price point, it's just, you know, Spydercos have gone up quite a bit over the years, so it's not surprising that even this model has gone up quite a bit. I mean, if you think about the original model, maybe close to 10 years ago, was $300 at the height of its price, versus, you know, you're getting what, like a 30% markup for the first batch and even a 15% markup for the second batch. I mean, 15%? No. Apologies. More than that, let's put it that way. It's 50% markup for the second batch at $450. But it's a great knife. I like it a lot, actually. It's, you know, it's one of the more exclusive models, not just in terms of it being a KnifeJoy exclusive, but the Slysz Bowie has a good reputation, I would say. So great knife all around. Could definitely serve as for multiple EDC needs. So, all right. Well, hope you enjoyed it. Drop a comment. Give me a thumbs up if you did. Drop a comment. Let me know if you have one of these in your collection, how you feel about it. Is this truly the GOAT or the Spyderco GOAT? I think it's debatable. There's a lot of great knives, not only all around from other knife makers, but also just from the Spyderco lineup. Make sure you subscribe if you want to get notified for the next video. And yeah, hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay frosty.